Hey y'all, today we have another very cool guest, my man Victor Williams from Philadelphia. He really turned his like whole interest and hobby, like all of us who like talking about the birds and like talking about sports and all that. And now he's out here making money, working for Fox and all that. So tell the people about yourself, Victor.
Hey man, appreciate you for having me on. So I guess to set the record straight, I'm somewhat of a fraud because I'm not from Philadelphia. I live in South.
Uh,
I live 15 minutes from the bridge. I live in the Clementon area, so I'm close enough to be in the mix. Just I can't do the city. I can't live there for a while. But yeah,
well, I live
yeah.
in Virginia, so that's not really. I'm from Philly, but I mean the whole area is like if you go like Cherry Hill Mall, like that's you're basically closer to Philly. Like a lot of people like way up northeast, by Franklin Mills Mall say that they're, even if they don't live in Philly proper, they say they live in Philly. So
Right.
I'll count you in.
Hey, I'm there enough. I'm there frequent enough. But yeah, much like yourself, man, just started I'm not entirely sure how long ago you started the show. I found you a little bit ago and started following what you were doing then. But I started the show around the Double Doink era, which of course was, what is it, 3 years ago to the day, of course. So I started the show around then. Started listening. I was listening to like sports radio and stuff at the time. Obviously, I grew up with it, and the more I listened to it, the more I was like, my take's gotta make some kind of sense. Like maybe I should should try and get out there and see how it works. So just started a show for fun. I have a background in web design and digital marketing, so I allowed that to kind of propel how to build up a Twitter following and kind of dive into the demographic that's actively looking for Philly content. And then it kind of just took off from there. Put up videos. I'm good at video editing. I'm a stats guy. Twitter loves stats. So I'm good with numbers. I'm good with software. I've kind of put it all together to turn it into this kind of content empire. That's the Liberty Line now, and the stuff I do with the Gambler and all these things. I kind of just pulled it all together and grew it. And now I get to do what I love every day. So can't really ask for much better.
like the people who are like our parent generation, like they really don't understand. They're like, so what exactly do you
They
do?
still don't. I don't need to try to explain anymore. It's just like I see you with your sports stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's all you need to know.
They're right. It's just sports, but like it's so cool how the internet has now allowed this possibility for whatever your lane is. Like if you're into fashion, if you're into gaming or whatever it is, if you're good at it and you have a passion and you have that comes through and you know how to go down into the demographics like you said, you can find a lane for yourself. So you're proof of that, and I'm gonna keep on watching it. And if y'all watch it, you do got to check out his show because his layout is way doper than what we got going on here. But I'm gonna take Victor's brain a little bit. He has the stats. Definitely check it out. So let's get into some football. So I guess the story that has dominated a lot of sports talk today is of course Antonio Brown. And I kind of knew that once he had his kind of breakup from Pittsburgh, I knew it was going to be like the way he acted and kind of like ended their championship window in my eyes. I didn't really see him not acting like this anywhere else. Because if he was going to break up what they had going on there, and then he messed it up with the Patriots, then why would you expect him to act any differently? But what's your perspective on the whole thing? And I would love to hear what you think about him doing the jumping jacks.
Yeah. Antonio Brown is tough to figure out because once he left Pittsburgh and all that, and then the helmet situation with the Raiders, whatever was going on over there, and then a stint with the Patriots, and I think he finally just kind of got it right. Obviously, last season winning a title with the Bucks and Tom Brady, but we all knew that Bruce Arians wasn't really a fan of his prior. Like Tom Brady is the reason he was there. Bruce Arians wasn't a fan of him before he got to the Bucks. I guess maybe he warmed up to him once they won the title. But it kind of, to this point to me, and this is just me speculating at this point, that it sounds like Bruce was kind of like looking for a reason to get him out of there, like with the injuries and the ankle and forcing him to go in there when AB knew he wasn't fine. Obviously, we're hearing two different sides of the story. Apparently, like AB never got checked by their doctors, whatever the story is. But like I tend to lean more towards AB just because I know in the league how coaches can kind of put pressure on you to play. They're losing to the Jets. It's frustrating for everybody. Get your ass in there. We need to win this game. So, and I can understand that coaches putting pressure. AB obviously could have handled the situation a little better than he did. Probably ripping your clothes off and running to the tunnel isn't the best way to handle it. But as far as the players, man, they kind of need more support in this league. And Bruce Arians is kind of trying to just brush this under the rug and move on. And I don't think it's going to go away that easily.
So you think that they officially cut him a couple hours ago, and
today, yeah.
Of course, yeah. So they cut him, and then he's going to be available to go to another team, but he's saying that he needs surgery. So it would be kind of like a TO with the Eagles kind of thing, where if you're on a Super Bowl trajectory, maybe you'd be willing to take that on and then maybe bring him back for the Super Bowl. Is that kind of what you think? You think somebody picks him up?
I doubt it highly. I don't see how he can, like, after the antics of last week, and now, like, I don't know if you've seen up to this point, but like he has women on Instagram saying stuff about him, and it's becoming messy now.
Wow.
Yeah, like he has.
Is it more sexual assault stuff?
I don't. It's like more like. I don't know what it was. I know she's all like, he paid me $10K to keep me quiet. It was something crazy. I don't know.
Oh my
but all that's coming out now. And all this and that. And plus, if he has, medical issues on top of that, I think teams are just kind of, if it was like week 6, 7, maybe you think about it for this home stretch, but it's too late into the season to bring on players that are stable, let alone Antonio Brown. So I wouldn't expect him to get picked up anywhere. I think he's going to go into the offseason, heal up. If he gets some interest next season, so be it. But I think he has a lot more issues than the Bucs to deal with right now.
Do you think he does get picked up next season if you had to guess?
So. He's too talented. Yeah, he showed that he can still play it at a high level, even this year, with Godwin going down and Mike Evans being banged up all year. He showed that he can still be a reliable target, although with Tom Brady. But I think he still has some talent when everything calms down. There's some teams that need receiver help because there's a few out there. They'll probably give him a look. I don't know how much money he's going to get. Apparently, he lost all his incentives last week, which was another reason for the outburst. But I think he still gets another chance next year. It's not like a Josh Gordon situation where you keep getting suspended and all this. I think he'll find his way back into the league.
And like you said, he can still play. Like Josh Gordon.
That's all that matters, really.
Right. Josh Gordon, I'm not sure if he can still play. Like he's been on Kansas City all year. He's not really making big plays. So
yeah. He had one catch that I could think of. Other than that, you didn't hear his name a whole lot this season.
No. And a friend of Philadelphia, of course, Terrell Owens has been getting his name in there since Antonio Brown started talking about it. And he's saying
you can't compare him to T.O., man. Like T.O. was like extra and all that, but he wasn't doing the stuff AB was doing. I saw that going around after all that, and I just don't disrespect Terrell Owens.
It's not fair. It's not fair. And AB is great, but AB's not the player that Terrell Owens was, to be honest.
Man, maybe like his best year as a Steeler, maybe you can kind of like compare it, but like as far as an all-around player, I think T.O.'s above him. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So another friend of the show, Etan Shander, wrote a story in Philly Voice this week talking about, because there's a lot of discussion about the Eagles the Eagles not playing their players this week because pretty much they're locked into the 6-7, and what's the real difference between the 6-7. But what are your thoughts? You think that they should play their starters, or they should get some rest?
Yeah, momentum is a big deal, especially when you're preparing for a postseason run. If you want to break down like the analytics, I wrote a piece earlier this week on like what a loss would mean and what a win would mean for the Eagles. Essentially, like the moral of that story is that if the Eagles want to try and avoid the Bucs, they're better off losing. But they still have like a 50% chance of facing them even if they lose. So it depends on how Sirianni wants to play the numbers there. But Devontae and Jalen and Greg Ward have all been vocal this week in press conferences about wanting to play and see time. We all know that Devontae Smith is 38 yards away from that rookie receiving record, albeit a 17-game schedule. We can have that debate another day. Right. But man, he wants to get out there, stay sharp. Because more than likely they're looking at the Bucs in the wild card round, and you're facing Tom Brady, even with all the drama surrounding the Bucs. The GOAT is still over there. I would play them for the first half and then throw Minshew out there.
I agree.
Be my
okay. Okay, that's a nuanced look at it. I guess I should have expected that from all your writings, but yeah, absolutely. That's how I see it. I don't think it's smart to just try to roll out Minshew from the first quarter and then
Yeah.
expect, especially because the Eagles have been having these really slow starts the last few weeks. If they do that in the playoffs, it could get ugly. Like,
Yeah.
eh, let's say we win our first round game, however, right? And then we go up to Lambeau and we have a half where we score 3. It's going to be 28-3.
Yeah, you're not winning the wild card round with these slow starts. Like these slow starts have happened against like Garrett Gilbert and Jake Fromm and these guys. Like they've had the luxury of digging themselves in holes and the competition being so lackluster that they can dig themselves out of them. That's not going to happen when you're facing Brady and Dak and all these other guys. Like these teams aren't going to let you do that. They have too much offensive firepower and their defense is too stingy for you to do that. You have to come out the gates and establish momentum fast, or it's going to be over before the game starts.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you. I'm with you. So what do you think about the Cowboys in terms of them being so, they're not being coy. They're not trying to trick anybody. They're saying they're coming up to Philly. They're playing Dak all day. What do you think about that? And do you think that they run the risk of maybe having kind of the inverse of what you're talking about? You want the Eagles to have some positive momentum. I agree. That's why you got to come out and have a good first half. If Dallas comes up to Philly and struggles against Minshew, in my eyes, that kind of like lights fire to, it pours gasoline on the fire that's already existing. Because you see on TV right now, I just was listening, and they have, which quarterback do you trust more, Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott? And they have a bad week. Oof.
Yeah, it's I think that if I think Dallas honestly just wants to brag about sweeping the Eagles. I think that's what it is. But now you have Micah Parsons on COVID list. You have Tyron Smith on COVID list, and you have cornerback Anthony Brown also on COVID list, and Zeke is questionable, and a few other players. And obviously, the Eagles have 12 players on the COVID list themselves. So thank goodness they clinched last week, or who knows where we'd be sitting right now. But I think that Dallas probably plays Dak for most of the game. I think they want to try, and I'm not sure what the scenarios are for Dallas as far as winning, like seeding. I don't know what they're looking at. But it's the Eagles. They're coming up to Philly. Everybody knows the rivalry by this point. Everyone talks about it ad nauseum. But I think they just want to try and stick it to the Eagles. See if they can sweep them. So we have to hear about that all next year. But in my eyes, if we can, I just need to see Devontae Smith like cook Trayvon Diggs just one time. I just need to see it once, man. He allows the most yards in the freaking league. Like he has 11 picks, but he's given up 1,100 yards. He's literally like the Jameis Winston of defense. Like he's either getting burned or he's scoring.
You're right.
So I need to see Devontae.
That's a good comparison.
Let's do a if Devontae can do like a fake, like a stop and go, if he can stop, look underneath, get Trayvon to bite, and he's just gone. That's all I need to see. Then you can sit him. Don't care. Yeah.
Oh man, absolutely. I mean, that's a really good comparison. You said Jameis Winston of defense. That hadn't come to mind. That's
a roller coaster, man. Yeah, how if he scored and the next thing you know he's burned. I remember one game. I forget which game it was earlier in the year. But I remember watching it because I bet on it and it went to overtime, and I was sitting here looking at the total. And Trayvon Diggs had an interception. I think he had a pick 6, and then he immediately got burned like that very next play for like 80 yards. I was like, dude, like, is this the kind of quarterback or cornerback you want on your team? Like, I understand turnovers can sway a game, but man, I'd rather have somebody like Slay who can just hold receivers to under 30 yards and not worry about it. I'm not sure if I want a guy who can score and then allow bust his coverage and allow his assignment to score the next play. That's too much emotions for me. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, and then you had Deion Sanders last week talking about that he should be the defensive MVP. It's like he's not even the defensive MVP of his football team.
Yeah, you can definitely talk about it. He should be in the conversation. But if you
not when you're getting cooked.
Yeah, no. If you want to have like the defensive player of the year conversation, that's between TJ and probably Micah at this point. It's probably those two.
I was going to ask you that later. But let's go ahead and get into that. So for defensive player of the year, if you had to award it right now, let's say this is a normal year, we only have 17 weeks. Who would you go with right now?
Yeah, I think TJ Watt is pulling away from it. I think he's 1.5 sacks away from Michael Strahan's record. I think he needs 1.5
Mhm,
sacks. He has 21.5, and Strahan had
mhm.
22. So, man, TJ Watt is pulling away. That 4 sack game last week really kind of cemented it for him. Micah Parsons is on the COVID list, so he won't get to play this last game. So I think TJ Watt is gonna stamp his stamp his ticket in this final game. And a fantastic season for Micah Parsons. He's one of a few players who's done what he's done this year. And trust me, I have to hear about it from Eagles fans. We made the wrong pick. We did this. We did that. We should have took Micah. We should have took Justin Jefferson last year, so we could have took Micah this year. Like all the scenarios, you heard about it. You're going to hear about it for a while. But shout out to him. We watched a lot of him in Penn State, I'm sure, and he's killing it over there in Dallas.
Absolutely. I mean, I hate that conversation. I mean, the Eagles have
Yeah,
been
dude,
looking
come on.
for a homegrown wide receiver, number one wide receiver. Macklin almost became that. Deshaun Jackson was he's a great player, but he was never a real number one wide receiver, like
Yeah.
who was just going to dominate your guy, whoever it was. There were games where Deshaun was getting blanked out. So we have been looking for a true number one wide receiver for so long. If we missed our opportunity again, that we would be hearing about it again. Oh, the Eagles defense is so great, but that now we can't score any points.
Mhm.
So you can't win with Eagles fans, man.
Yeah, it's not going to matter. That's why we have to deal with this whole Rager situation, man. And granted, it's not his fault. He was taken, right before Justin Jefferson, and me doing the scouting that year. And I was pretty excited about Rager. I wouldn't have took him at 21. I probably would have traded back and took him at like 28. But granted, man, I don't think Justin Jefferson's looking like this in this offense right now. And Devontae Smith drafted elsewhere except the Giants because they're dumpster fire. But Devontae Smith anywhere else probably has 1,200 yards right now. It was a rough start to the year. Sirianni didn't know what to do, and man, 875 yards, well surpassing our leading
Mhm.
receiver last year in Fulgham. You can't ask more from the Heisman winner. The revisionist history in Philadelphia, it's always going to be there because that's what we like to do. But man, they got to learn to live in the present and appreciate what's in front of them. It was a Ben Simmons issue, and I don't need it to become an Eagles issue.
Oh my God,
Look where that got us
serious.
with Simmons. We're sitting here not even looking at him.
We might, and then moving, talking real quick on the Sixers. It looks like now that De'Aaron Fox might be
Mhm.
able, we might
Got
be
some
able to get
movement.
him.
Got some movement. Halliburton.
Into it.
Halliburton.
Something now at the beginning of the season, I'm like, okay, well, Sixers don't just trade him for nothing, but because you have the leverage. Now I'm kind of like, we got to
I'll
get this
kind of
dude
take nothing. I'll entertain nothing.
just something because, like, yeah, we're just paying him to do nothing. So,
Moore
but
wasn't bluffing. He said he'll do it for 4 years, and he means it.
he does beat it. So let's say the Eagles do come out from the start and just start the backups. Let's play a quick over under here. So let's go with over under 2 touchdowns for Gardner Minshew.
If we're saying this as if the reserves are playing the whole game, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then Minshew probably hits 2 touchdowns. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah. Well, he had 2 against the Jets, right? I believe. Yeah,
That's the
granted, this
Jets.
isn't the Dallas. There's going to be no Micah, no
Yeah.
Anthony Brown. Yeah, I mean Diggs will probably be on Devontae. Well, if Devontae plays, I think he gets 2. I'll say over. Just
Okay.
over though. Just.
Okay. So Andre Dillard giving up one over under 1 sack.
Yeah. See, now he's interesting because when I was able to watch him in training camp, and this man was getting dog. When I say dog walk, this man was getting dragged, thrown around, put on his behind. Like it was bad. But he's coming there, and man, Stoutland has done a wonderful job with Dillard. And I think he's only given up one maybe 2 sacks this year. I was just staring at the OL stats. But I think maybe 1 or 2 all year. I don't think Dillard gives up another one. He's a very good reserve left tackle, finding his footing. It's unfortunate he was taken in the first round again, but as a backup, man, he is killing it. I don't think he gives up one without our stout,
No,
without Dallas' stout
man.
pack. With no Micah. I don't think they're budging.
We're gonna get some nice draft compensation for him if he does do that.
Mm, mm. You'd move
I
him, huh?
mean, I, I, for the money, it's a consideration. It depends on what I can get in the off season from the
Need that
draft
depth, man.
because
Brandon Brooks is gone next year. Like, we need some depth, man.
yeah, I don't, but he can't play guard. Like you said, he's getting dog walk thrown around.
Yeah.
I mean, what I was hearing from Chris Franklin from when during training camp was rough.
It
Like,
was bad.
and then he didn't want to come back in.
Yeah,
I don't know if
confidence was
he got
shot.
that
It was
guard,
bad.
like,
Stalin repaired him some type of way, but he was not looking great in training camp. It was looking bad for him. It wasn't much of a competition. Mylata looked at him and said, I ain't worried about it.
and he can only play the left. Like all of our
Yeah.
other offensive linemen move all over. He only wants to play the left. I don't think, and that he is being coached by Stoutland. I think that does give him some extra juice. I hope other teams' scouting departments aren't listening right now. But yeah, I think we might be better off getting something. Like we could probably get a 3 for him.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably could. And then you look at who else you got. You got Driscoll, you got Dickerson, you got Herbig. You got some guys that can move around. So getting rid of a Dillard wouldn't hurt. But then you encourage Howie to scout like 4th round OL talent in the first again. And I'm not trying to do this. so let me just keep the guys we got for a second and draft what we need in the draft, except Linderbaum, because he is ridiculous, that guy in the draft. When I'm sure we'll talk at some point during draft season, but watch out for that guy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking during draft season for sure. So over under 2 catches for Tyree Jackson. Earlier we were like Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, Jackson, because it was just Jackson, and I was like, are these notes from last year? Like
Tyree Jackson, number 80.
Yeah, so I have a hot take with this one. I don't think he gets it only because number one, like he was injured all year. He's probably not integrated into the offense. And number 2, I think Jack Stahl will see more time than him. He's been having an uptick in production as of late. Snaps, rather. He's been seeing more of the offense. I think if anybody is going to get reserve tight end catches, I would say Jack Stahl probably gets them.
So you think they play Goddard?
For a little bit, but I think behind Goddard, I think Stahl is behind him.
Yes.
As far as like blocking, I've seen Stahl in there a lot. I haven't seen much of Tyree since he's been back. Stahl's always been in there on goal line packages and things like that. So if Goddard's not playing, I would expect Stahl to see a lot of time.
Yeah, Tyree dropped a wide open pass last week.
He was killing it. Another guy who was killing it in open practices, Tyree. Looked like the best player on the field at times. Like, who is this guy?
So over under Philly's favorite, the new Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Reagor. Over
How many for him?
Catches?
2 catches. Yeah, I'll give it to him, and I'll give it to him because I will probably bet on it because I always bet on his yards, and he either goes way over or he has 0. So this is going to be the week. This is going to be the week that he gets more. I hope that line, because that one last week it was 19.5, and I was like, man, he's getting that. It's his birthday. Yeah, he had 0. So one time,
if he's
12.5 time. I hope it's that again.
What if he's the one who burns Trayvon Diggs?
Oh my goodness. You'll never hear the end of me. I'll be on Twitter. Justin Jefferson haters, man. Justin Jefferson. I just wanted to know for all the listeners here that Jalen Reagor has a playoff appearance and Justin Jefferson does not.
That's true.
Well, yeah, take that stat and shove it up anywhere. Vikings fans, I don't want to hear it. You can laugh. I know that all they like to do is show us that clip of the Vikings front office laughing that we didn't take Justin Jefferson, but Reagor made it to the postseason first because
twice.
Kirk Cousins is leading it.
Only once.
Yeah, this will be the first time.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins is overrated anyway, as he's always been since Washington. Since he got franchise tagged in Washington like 4 times.
He's getting all that free money out there. It's awesome.
Imagine imagine you were
right
just barely above average at your job and you got handed $90 million. Like I'm not arguing.
I want to be Kirk Cousins when I grow up, man. There are kids saying that.
Oh yeah, they should probably aim for Sam Bradford because that man literally stole money. If you want to be anybody when you grow up, be Sam Bradford.
You couldn't tell me we weren't going to be nice that one year. We were
I was screaming Super Bowl, 10 for 10. Remember that preseason game, 10 for 10. Darren Sproles was going. We got DeMarco. They were Oklahoma roommates. It was over, man. Pack it in, Super Bowl. And then Chip Kelly.
Tell me we weren't going to be nice.
Chip Kelly sold the dream, man, and I bought in, as we all did, I'm sure.
So back into reality for the playoffs, because the Eagles in real life are in the NFL playoffs. There are probably going to be at least 5 teams ahead of us. of the division winners, rank or of anybody if you'd like,
Mhm.
rank the scariest NFC playoff teams.
Yeah, so from top to bottom, obviously it's the Packers. I think if I was a betting man, which I am, but if I was a betting man, Aaron Rodgers is probably winning it all this year. You know, even everything after the vaccines and being immunized and whatever else he's saying out there. I think they do win it all. He'll win MVP despite what voters have
Mhm,
against him. He'll win MVP. Four what is it? 4 interceptions he had all year to 35
mhm,
touchdowns. It's ridiculous. I never
mhm,
seen anything like it except from Aaron Rodgers. But the Packers are scary. Nobody wants to go into Lambeau. It's
mhm,
-5 degrees there in January. No thanks.
mhm,
And immediately behind them, I would have to say the Rams as far as matchup
mm, mm,
because Cooper Cup, man, we have no
mhm. Nah,
defense
yeah.
over the middle. Like linebackers, Alex Singleton can't play coverage. Singleton's ranked 78th out of 86 linebackers in coverage. He's horrible. Oh my God, it's bad. Cooper Cup will have 200 yards over that middle. OBJ is utilized a lot in the red zone. Now Matthew Stafford, I know you saw my tweet the other day. Matthew Stafford is
Mhm,
giving away that rock like Christmas gifts.
mhm,
So, maybe that kind of sways you. With the Rams have a lot of firepower. Cam Akers is back now. He'll be on a mission. And then you have to say the Bucks before them, even
mm,
though with the drama and the circus that's going on right now, it's still Tom Brady. They're still the defending champs. I know that Godwin's gone and Mike Evans is banged up and AB is obviously gone and Levante David is gone and the list goes on. But they're still who they are. And then you got to go with the Cards, even though without DeAndre Hopkins, they obviously fell off. But we all know they got Zach Ertz now, Christian Kirk. They're running around with Chase Edmonds. I don't know what the deal is with James Conner and when he's back. But I would put the Cards in that fourth spot, and then I guess Dallas. I guess Dallas. Whatever. They're I guess
So
they're.
you would like to face Dallas?
I would love to knock out Dallas. that would be great. As far as matchups, I mean, I don't not in the wild card because that just screams 2009 vibes when Felix Jones ran
Right,
all over us in the final
right.
week and then in the wild card.
That was bad.
Yeah, that was not a fun
That
memory.
was like that was when we shipped out McNabb.
Yeah,
That was the end
what a
of it.
swan song that was, man.
Mm,
I
that's
think was
sad.
that the guitar? Was that day just
Yes,
to get
it
just to get
was.
trapped
It
on?
was coming out of the tunnel. Oh, that was when it was new. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that hurts.
bad times. Yeah. So then Dallas, I guess I'll put fifth, and then it's probably going to be San Fran. The Saints have a chance if they win and San Fran loses to the Rams, but I think the 49ers take care of business and get in there. San Fran's been hot. Debo's crazy. Debo is the receiver we all kind of hope Jalen Rager would be as far as skill set. But I think the 49ers, they won't be too scary in the playoffs, but I'll
No.
slide them in behind Dallas.
No, I think we play if we played the 49ers late in the season with like our mentality buying into like who we are as a team, I think we would have beat them. And we dominated. I was there. We dominated them that day. Somehow, I mean, the only thing that matters is who's got more points at the end of the game. Yes. But if you watch that game without any tickers or anything, you were like the Eagles are winning.
That was the game. Was it the Rager touchdown where he stepped out of bounds? Right? Yeah, Rager's had a rough year, man.
He's about to go off on your boy Trayvon this week.
He's not
Watch.
my boy, please. I need Trayvon to go. I need him to get burnt. Fulgham cooked that dude last year. I needed to have him again.
He did.
He
Oh
did,
my god.
remember? Put him in a blender.
That's when he was a rookie. I'll give him that. Whatever. He's a rookie. Um, so which position? Because you do a lot of draft stuff, and I would love to have you back on to talk about that.
Of course.
Where do you think we most need to improve our team from that perspective from the draft? Because we'll have 3 first-round picks
Mhm.
for sure now, and then what 5 picks in the first like 60? I want to say.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So
so when you look at what I would suggest and what the Eagles will actually do are obviously two different things. Now, now we all know the Eagles haven't taken a first round linebacker since 19. I want to say 78, I think it was when they took. It's
oh
been it's been
man,
some time since they took a first round linebacker. So, man, if it was up to me, I think Nakobe Dean is staring at you. So, I think they have the 3 first round picks. This is what I would do. My offseason plan: I would draft a linebacker. I would draft an edge rusher because Brandon Graham's not getting any younger. It's hard to come back from an Achilles at that age. I'd be highly surprised if Derek Barnett is brought back after next year. So he's gone. You got Josh Sweat, who can only play like 42 snaps in a season for whatever reason. And then, you got Taron Jackson and Milton Williams and all these guys that you hope will fill spaces. So you're definitely going to need an edge rusher, linebacker, and you need a corner. Sauce Gardner is there. Derek Stingley's probably gone by the time they pick. But Kyrie Lam is there. You got a lot of really, really good corners. Roger McCreary. This is a defense-loaded draft. Take those 3 picks. You load up on defense. You sign a veteran wide receiver 2 in the offseason. You got some good ones. You got Gallup. You got Godwin. You got DJ Chark, all entering free agency after season-ending injuries. So Howie's, 1-year prove-it deal is going to be in effect. It's coming. It's coming. 1-year Alshon type prove-it deals. So you got some good players that are going to be out there. Christian Kirk will be a free agent. Calvin Ridley's name is being thrown out there. They don't know if he's coming back. I wrote about that earlier. Maybe they do something.
Yeah.
So get the Alabama.
Where did that come from? If you don't mind me cutting in right here, where did this Calvin Ridley not wanting to come back? I feel like that came like really out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was out of left because he took a leave of absence, obviously with Atlanta for mental health, for the second time now, and he has no contact with Atlanta. This is like Ben Simmons, the NFL version. He hasn't talked to Atlanta. He hasn't updated Arthur Smith. Nobody knows what's going on. So NFL reporter Steve White was on an Atlanta podcast somewhere down there, and had him on the show, and they asked him about Calvin Ridley's future in Atlanta, and he responded by saying that it seems likely, well, not likely, but it seems like they could be headed in the direction of a mutual split. Nobody is talking to anybody. It's kind of just like a standoff right now. I don't know what Calvin's dealing with. Obviously, we hope for the best, but if he's not even contacting the team, you would likely believe that relationship is fractured. So maybe you send him a 2nd round, and the 5th round you have from Washington. You send a package there. You bring in Ridley. You draft defense. You give Jalen Hurts another year. See what you got, and we're cooking in 2022.
I'll just enjoy the moment because, like we just talked about with Sam Bradford time, it all is looking good, and then it doesn't, and then you end up with the losing to the Cowboys in the playoffs, having Michael Vick coming in, making one throw, hitting Deshaun, and then that's the only highlight of the night. So I'll live in the moment.
yeah, we got to. It's fun to look ahead. Like if Ridley and Devontae are both lethal route runners, but a lot of people have made the points that if Calvin is like shook upstairs coming into Philadelphia, it may not be the best thing for him.
No. Lakers broke. They broke.
He's sensitive. He's got some growing up to do. You see what he does on Twitter and everything. So, he got some growing up to do. But he did in his press conference mention that Derek Barnett, of all people, has talked to him and said, just block out the noise, embrace it, take it as, the fans care and they just want to see you do well. And he seems to be doing well with that mentality. So Sixers players, Tobias, more specifically, should probably take some notes there.
What and I gotta give Derek Barnett his flowers while he's still on the Eagles. Yep. Eagles fans always remember Graham forced the fumble, Barnett picked it up. Yep. And if we don't pick up that fumble, Brady wins that game.
In fairness, me or you could have fell on that fumble, so whatever.
No, man, no. It's happened a million times, man. You got to actually do it. Yeah. So you said you got Rodgers for MVP?
Correct.
Okay. I heard Colin Cowherd was talking today about he was saying he was setting the politics aside. Actually, I think Colin probably agrees with him politically. But he had said because he knew he was going to be attacked by the people who've clamored to Aaron recently.
That was this morning, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was talking about Joe Burrow. What do you think about his conversation about Burrow? You think that's asinine, or you think it's at least worth discussion?
Refresh my memory. What happened with Burrow?
He was saying that he thinks that Burrow is the MVP. He thinks you line up the because it's more impressive that Burrow leads this team to the playoffs. He has almost the same quarterback rating. He threw for more yards. Rodgers wasn't available against Kansas City. Joe Burrow beat Kansas City. That's his line of thinking there.
Yeah, I believe Burrow's actually PFF's top, whoever put stock into PFF. I believe that he's their top quarterback this year.
Rodgers is 4.
But Rodgers is a different animal. Like, I don't know if Joe Burrow is like, you got to look at the schedule, you got to look, and I understand. But man, Jamar Chase is a big reason why that's happening. The dude at what do you have 200 yards last week, and I was a big Jamar Chase guy in the draft. I would have sold my soul, my house. I would have done everything in my power to get Jamar Chase here. Not saying I'm not happy with Devontae Smith. I don't think Burrow gets MVP consideration though. Like if it was like Jonathan Taylor and Kyler Murray, like those guys kind of deserve. Stafford, he was in the mix for a little bit. Burrow's had a very impressive year, and I've had talks with people about if there was a 2020 redraft, is Burrow going first or is Herbert going first? And so that kind of sparked some debate there. I don't think he's MVP, but I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Joe Burrow because I didn't know where I was with him this year, after the injury, and I was like, I don't know what he is yet, but man, he's the guy this year, and I like his swagger, his attitude, and him and Jamar Chase. I didn't agree with the Jamar Chase pick because number one, I wanted him. Number two, I feel like they had to beef up that offensive line because if Joe Burrow can't stand up, I don't know how the hell he's going to throw to Jamar Chase, but they've seemingly figured it out, and they're cooking one of the hottest teams in football right now.
Absolutely. No, you're exactly right. So coach of the year, who do you got for that?
Yeah, Syria. No, I'm kidding. He definitely should be in the conversation.
He is in the conversation. He got to be in the conversation, but I wouldn't give it to him.
No, he definitely doesn't. You don't give it to him. But man, you got to give him his flowers on how the hell they went from 2-5 to a playoff team when all that stuff was going down. But for me, it's probably Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans when Derrick Henry went down, and now they're somehow sitting at the first seed, and all they have to do is win this week. I think they play the Texans. All they have to do is win this weekend, and they're the number one seed. And who would have thought? Like we got the Chiefs and the Bengals and Baltimore, who's fallen off a cliff, and somehow the Titans are right there. And I don't think Tannehill is a great quarterback. Like he's a game manager. He's average at best, 17 touchdowns, 14 picks. But they've made it work. A.J. Brown has showed up, come back from injury. Julio is nowhere to be seen. He can't stay healthy. Maybe he's healthy down the stretch. Dante Foreman has picked up the slack. So, man, it's tons of credit to Mike Vrabel. I think he gets the award for climbing and getting his team into the first overall seed in the AFC, even after the what would have been MVP last year, Derrick Henry went down. He should have won it last year.
I'm with you. Yeah, absolutely. And he lost, like, that's an MVP caliber player who's like Derrick Henry is still what top 5 in rushing. Like
he's all these half year. It's the QB award, dude. That's why Taylor's not going to win it this year. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So we got some cool games on this week, other than the Philadelphia Eagles with Gardner Minshew and Tyree Jackson taking over. So you got Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Really big Jackson guy, ain't you? You love Tyree.
I like converted quarterbacks. I think,
Lord,
because
Greg Ward.
Yeah. Hey, that catch against Washington, or not against the Giants. Ooh,
it was Washington. You're right.
Oh, the one from Carson, but the one against it was Washington again. The
one that Jalen back of the end zone, reminiscent of that Washington pass to Miles Sanders. So that is 6 catches this year, and 3 of them are touchdowns. So what are you gonna do?
Just take it over, man. Those converted quarterbacks, they understand how to get open. They got good hands. They're like,
that's why they had Greg Ward throw that Philly special in San Fran for no reason.
Sirianni
converted quarterbacks, man, doing it.
No. See, that's how you don't use the converted quarterbacks. You converted them. Let them do what you want them to do now.
Just because he threw a pass or two, once or twice. Remember that one? Was it last year that Doug tried to have Jake Elliott throw a pass? I think it was against the Vikings, and they tried to fake a field goal and have Jake Elliott, who never attempted a pass in high school, college, or the pros. But we're gonna try this right now. Jake Elliott, sling that thing. And
I do it on Madden when it's out of hand. I do that. Try to pour it on a field goal. So we got some good games. I'll be watching Pittsburgh at Baltimore, which is a pseudo playoff game. I mean, especially for that rivalry, for them to be playing with some meaningful football. Maybe Big Ben's last game as a NFL player. What do you think happens there?
Yeah, well, Lamar still has yet to practice, so I'll probably give it to Pittsburgh. Big Ben, I thought he was going to have a really good game in his last game at Heinz Field, but he threw 46 times and had 1 touchdown. So, man, he should have retired 2 years ago. They should have. Now they're just hanging him out to slaughter. And regardless of people's opinions about Big Ben and his accusations and all that stuff, he's still one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest, to put on that jersey. I know Terry Bradshaw's in that conversation as well. That was before my time. So I'll have to take people's word for it. But yeah, I think the Steelers do go out and win this game. Najee Harris has been great. They still don't have Lamar. As impressive as Tyler Huntley is, I think Pittsburgh tries to get this win for Ben.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just for that, just on the strength of that it being Ben's last game. If they had Lamar, I think they probably end his career on a bad note, but
Probably. Yeah.
they're going
Huntley ain't
win.
no slouch. I like Huntley. I like Huntley a lot.
I
Eagles
do
fans,
too.
after he almost beat the Packers, Eagles fans were like, "Yo, can we trade Hurts for Huntley?" Like,
No,
they're the same guy.
No, we can't. No. San Fran at the Rams. What do you think about that? Because that one's interesting for the playoffs. If San Fran loses and the Eagles win, I think the Eagles move. That's the scenario by which the Eagles move up to 6. Correct?
Yeah, and then it starts to get tricky. And then even for the Saints, they need San Fran to lose that game and Saints to win. So the Saints slide up and knock out San Fran if San Fran loses. So the Saints need the Rams to win that game as well. Unfortunately, the Rams are a juggernaut on offense. And like we mentioned, they have probably, I don't think he wins it, actually, Offensive Player of the Year candidate and Cooper Kupp. But I think Taylor probably takes it home. But you got Cooper Kupp there, who's having one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever. I already mentioned OBJ earlier. Even without Robert Woods, which I think was more detrimental than people believe.
Yes.
Robert Woods was a big part of that offense. And you see it now when he's not there. But they have Cam Akers back. I think the Rams roll into the postseason.
Okay. Chargers at Raiders. That's going to be a good one on Sunday Night Football.
It's winning in, right? That's a winning in game, I think. Yeah.
It's interesting because I think if the scenario is if the Colts lose to Jacksonville in Jacksonville, who they haven't beaten Jacksonville since 2014, interestingly enough, then if they tie, they both make the playoffs.
Yeah, they can just sit there and kneel it like 20 times and just run out the clock. Yeah, that is interesting. And then of course we all had our eyes peeled on the Carson situation, but now we don't have to worry about that as much because they got the they got the draft pick. And and I was a big Carson. I don't know if you were following me back last year when it got really toxic. It got really toxic on Twitter for me, man, because I was a big Carson guy. I supported him, didn't want to see him go. To this day, I think it was a bad move. Even though we're happy with Jalen, I still think it was a bad move. But Carson's still erratic. You see it. He's still hot and cold. He's another Jameis-esque.
I rode with him until the Browns game last year.
When were you done? When were you done with the guy? When were you like, this is it? Like, I'm bench him, get him out of here. Like, were you ever like, get him out of here, or did you want him back after the season ended?
No, like after that Browns game, I was done with him. I was like,
I'm like in Philly, like get out. This is like I'm done with this. Like
honestly, to be honest, after we won the Super Bowl, I was like, if the choice is I'm going to re-sign somebody long term, I called in to Ike and John Marks, and I told him, basically, you create a quarterback budget where you have like, I got $40 million for my quarterback. Nick, you get 20. Carson, you get 20. If I have to choose one, I'm picking Nick.
Who does that? Who sits account like at numbers wise and does that? That would be some type. But I agree with you in the fact that if Nick Foles like wins the Super Bowl the following year, you have to bring him back. Like that's back-to-back Super Bowl
double doink season.
Yeah, like if Foles the year that Alshon dropped it against the Saints, we're not dropped it, whatever the situation.
It was a drop. It was a drop.
Yeah, it was a flat-out drop. But, even if he catches it, who knows if he win that game? But if Foles somehow makes it happen again that year, you have no choice but to bring back Foles.
You win 2 Super Bowls back to back.
Yeah, of course you have to. Yeah, I mean, yeah. And there's people out there that still think that Foles should have been the one to say he just won a game in Chicago and clutch time. Of course, doesn't make it look good. But I'm firmly in the camp of like not giving up on players. I don't know if I'm just like an optimist or what it is, but I was in the camp like, no, he can be fixed. And then Sirianni came in here and I was like, the heir to Frank Reich is on. He's fixed. And I was the same thing with Ben Simmons, not to bring up the Sixers again, but I didn't want to see him go. I was like, nah, he's going to come back. He'll get his head on straight.
Me too.
And this and that. Like, I don't like giving up on players that we've invested so much into. Right. And as much as I do with QB stability, there was Vic and Bradford and Cobb and all this. We didn't have stability after making it happen. Carson gave us our first glimpse of that. And I wasn't ready to like depart from that so quickly. But fans didn't agree with me. So
We should have stuck with Nick. We shouldn't have
there we
let him
go.
go the first time. We should have let him go the first time,
Oh my
man.
God, man. I don't know if Nick's doing it in a regular season, 16 games. I don't know if he's the man for that. Sign him. You can sign him as the playoff quarterback. Carson, get us there. Foles come in for the playoffs. There you
That's what I'm saying. I got 40 mil. Maybe it's not 2020. Maybe Carson gets 30. Nick gets 10 a year. I don't know.
So
But
wait,
I'm keeping them both.
question. Does if Carson doesn't get hurt, and not to make this a whole Carson thing, I don't want the listeners to think we're sitting here harping on Carson, but I want to know your thoughts.
It's cool.
If Carson doesn't get hurt, do we still win that Super Bowl? Think about it, man. Think about it.
I don't know. Nick was special, man, and I think it allowed the team to like. Everybody plays better. Like, remember the seasons back, like where Garcia would come in for McNabb or Feely would come in for McNabb, and the players around them know that they have to play better. So they step up their game. I don't know if kind of like as
Carson was dealing at you, dude. Dealing like Carson was dealing. I think if he'd make it to the Super Bowl, I think Carson plays a great game and just has a crucial mistake at the end. He throws a pick in the final 2 minutes or something and seals it. So I think they probably lose just because Nick was on some other, he was another person at that time. I think Carson probably plays great, but has a crucial, sophomore mistake, and they probably lose that game in my opinion.
Nick Foles in that playoff run,
it still doesn't feel
even if you
that we have
Atlanta game.
Like I don't
know. He was Joe Montana.
Yeah, it was bad. And I'm not sure how much older you are than I am. I'm 28, so I had become resignated to the fact that I'm just not going to see it in my lifetime. Like it's just not going to happen. Like it's just this is just how it is. So when we won it, I was like, this is.
So I'm a little older than you. I'm 30. I'm 31 now. So when I first started watching. I got to see the 4 straight losses.
Yeah, and remember that
that was the start, and I was resigned too. I was like, even until the ball dropped on that Hail Mary to Gronk, I was like, we're still going to lose this game. But it happened. So this game on Saturday night at 8:15, who wins and what's your score prediction?
So I'll predict that the starters play half the game. I think. Then I think Dallas probably runs away from it in the second half if they keep their starters in, just because they're Dallas and they want to be petty. So I think they stay in, and I think that Sirianni, even though he doesn't act like it, I think he knows that like there's a very good chance that we see the Bucs if we win that game. So, and he's a big numbers guy, so I think he's like, I'm gonna chill out in the second half and take my chances of maybe hopefully seeing the Rams or the Cards. There's still a good chance, like I mentioned earlier, that we see the Bucs even if we do lose, or even if we do win rather, but just the numbers look better. I think Dallas probably runs away with it like 31-14 in the second half. I'm not going to care after the first half, so I don't care. But Dallas probably runs away with it because they want to be sharp going to the postseason. They want Dak to get their reps, and I think they just want to sweep the Eagles so that we have to hear about it for another year.
I'm calling it 27-21 Cowboys.
Okay.
But Garner and the crew.
Who's the crew?
Cowboys a scare.
Tyree Jackson is the crew.
Tyree Jackson.
Yo, I owe you. I don't know if you drink or not, but I owe you a beer if Tyree scores.
Yes, I do drink, and you will owe me a beer because he's gonna score. Zach McPherson is gonna get.
That's my boy McPherson. My co-host, man. He was my co-host.
The crew, man.
Another guy. It's funny because my co-host. Because when we get to draft season, we pick like our gems out, and he was a big Kenny Gainwell even before the draft. He was a big Kenny Gainwell fan, and I really like Zach McPherson. So when they draft Kenny G, because these guys never draft who we wanted. I wanted Denzel Mims in the other draft, which thank God that didn't happen. But I was a big Mims guy, and when we drafted Kenny Gainwell, he was celebrating all this and that, and I was like, I promise you, McPherson is going to have a bigger impact his rookie year than Gainwell. And that is not true. So, but McPherson is my boy. I need him to be a lockdown nickel cornerback. But now that Maddox just got paid, I don't know when we'll see that. So,
this is a weird year though, because our corners are never healthy. So he'll get in. Zach McPherson. We're going to need to see McPherson. So the crew is Minshew, Gainwell, Tyree, Jack Stoll, Jalen Reagor, John Hightower.
Oh my God. I want to see some Keyshawn Johnson off the practice squad. That's what I want to see.
Yes. I'm telling you, they're going to elevate everybody tomorrow. And this is, look, Howie, don't get mad at me, but I'm not buying that everybody got COVID on one day. I think that was.
I think they all suggested the test on Monday and said, "Can you please test us today?" I think that's what happened. You got to push the hashtag. Now that you're a part of the crew, you need to hashtag Fear McPherson. I've been pushing it all year. Get it moving. Get it moving.
Yo, he's gonna be good. I'm saying
so.
I like
a family of athletes, dude. He has like 8 brothers and sisters that are all like freaking D1 athletes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, trust me, I did my research on this guy.
Yo, I love it, man. Really appreciate you coming on. Telling people where they can follow along and show you some love, man.
Yeah, you can show me some love or hate me because a lot of them do. So or throw the hate on
the Jalen lovers, man.
Yeah, we're Jalen apologists now. I was the Wentz apologist. Now I'm the Hurts apologist. When in reality, I'm the QB1 apologist, and that's it. I just want my starter QBs to succeed, no matter who they are. If it was Minshew right now, I'd be capping for Minshew. That's what we do. That's what we do. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at the Philly Pod. You can subscribe to the Philly Pod on Apple iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio. We have Liberty Line Radio Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 10 to 2 on the Liberty Line. You can visit libertyline.com for all my articles, as well as all 5 Philly sports, or 6 now. We have the Wings for lacrosse. Ooh. Devin would be happy to hear that. So go to libertyline.com for round-the-clock coverage on all 6 major Philly sports.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on, and y'all will hear from Victor again, man. Take care.
Hopefully first of many. See you draft season, buddy.
All right, man.